Unfortunately, a lot of you were raised incorrectly. It's not necessarily your fault, it's just the way things are now. People in general are group animals, not individuals. Knowing what the objectively correct thing is and rising above everybody else is very hard. The social pressure gets the best of people sometimes. In this case, you could think of your dad. More than likely, he knows that some of the things he believes in aren't correct, but he does them because he doesn't have a better choice. When it comes to raising you, his son, it's unlikely that he'll teach you all the things he needs to teach you because he himself never implemented them. I'm referring to the things that make men look weak in the eyes of women. Women used to be much more tolerant of these types of behaviors. I'm sure you guys are familiar or have seen a reel with the long list of icks that have now been developed. At this point, guys, there's hundreds of icks. Obviously, in this video, I can't attack each and every single ick, which one's real and which one's bull. For this reason, in this video, I'm going to give you guys the 3 main things you do that make you look weak in the eyes of women. A big percentage of the icks can be rooted in these 3 things. The first point is you don't take lead. Girls have an extremely hard time being deeply in love with a guy that doesn't take lead. What this means, you have to be able to take ownership of every single decision that is made. If things go wrong, it has to be your fault. Understand, guys, girls don't like taking responsibility. As a man, you have to teach yourself to love responsibility. Truthfully, all the richest men are rich because they take on a ton of responsibility. Taking responsibility is fundamentally a masculine trait. It's also the #1 quality of a leader. Girls are ultimately in their feminine when they don't have to worry about security. If you can make every single decision with confidence so that she doesn't have an ounce of fear in her heart, she will be feminine for you. It's only in this feminine state that she will deeply respect and love you. This is where a lot of you mess up. You guys include them in so much of the decision-making process. Most of this is because of the social pressure attached to it. The counterintuitive thing about this is the more decisions they take on instead of you, the less they'll respect you. Now understand, guys, this is appealing to her emotional mind, not her conscious mind. I talk about this concept in so many of my videos. Women love you emotionally, not consciously. It's for this reason you have to appeal to their emotional mind first and then their conscious mind second. I'm telling you this because sometimes taking lead can come with some arguments. Consciously, she may try to debate a decision you're making. Now you're going to be stuck between a rock and a hard place. Let her make the decision, which means she respects you less, or fight her consciously, make the correct decision, and then she will emotionally respect you more. If you keep letting her make conscious decisions all the time, eventually she will emotionally see you as weak. This is where you put yourself in a scenario where she tells you, I don't know why, but I just don't feel anything anymore. I know it can seem a little bit complex, but hopefully this clarifies it a little bit. The second thing that'll make you look weak in the eyes of women is having fear. If you look down on the world from a third-person perspective, you can understand that risk is extremely important. Nothing great was ever made without any risk. It's the metaphorical concept that the greatest treasure is at the top of the highest mountain. Over a long enough time frame, a risky man will always outperform a safe man. Exposing yourself to dangerous situations over and over again over time leads you to becoming more competent. It's for this reason alone that women prefer risky men. Now, of course, you can't be extreme on that end either, but now it starts to make sense why girls are attracted to guys that ride motorcycles. It's that same essence that leads to the greatest successes. When you show a woman you're scared, it displays to them that you don't have that essence. How are you supposed to get yourself and this family ahead if you don't have that within you? This will make her view you as weak. Strong men are supposed to go through trauma, learn from the trauma, and get better every single time. I know it seems extremely hardcore, but it's just the reality. Now understand, it is entirely normal for every human being on earth to feel fear at some point. The reality is, life is also a performance. Hiding the fear effectively is just as good as not having it. There are so many UFC fighters in history that were interviewed after the fight telling everybody how scared they were to get into the ring. When they walked out, you still couldn't tell they were scared. The reason for this is they understand that if their opponent can smell their fear, they know they have a mental advantage. These are the hardcore realities of life, guys. All I'm trying to do is teach you how to be better. Fear is a part of life, but you have to learn how to dominate it. 90% of the time is just taking the first step. After you've done so, you're already in it. Now you have no choice but to survive. Learn to master this process and you won't appear weak in the eyes of females. The third and most controversial point, of course, is crying. From an objective perspective, let's define what crying means. In that moment of time, when you're crying, you're essentially submitting to your emotions. Your emotions overwhelm you and they manifest as tears or crying or bawling of any sort. In that moment, you're essentially incapacitated by the emotions. From the perspective of performance, guys, understand that this is extremely disadvantageous to you. If you're caught up in a potentially dangerous scenario and your instinct is to cry in that moment, you're going to be screwed. This is why, fundamentally speaking, women find this extremely unattractive. The crazy thing about this is they don't want to find it unattractive. It's an automatic knee-jerk reaction for them, an impulse. This is why, in order to mask their guilt, they're going to tell all of you that crying is okay and that it should happen. The truth is, in many scenarios, Women don't even like themselves for the way they feel. Regardless whether they like it or not, the feeling exists. This is why I must protect you guys with the reality. The reason you feel this way is because modern society hides a lot of these hardships from you. The nature of life is brutal as it is. Understand that women are not inherently evil for what they emotionally find unattractive. It is simply something that they cannot control. We as men have our own list of impulses that we also suffer from. Going over them is pointless though, since I'm talking to guys about women. The best thing to do with this information is accept it as a reality and try your best to become the best version of yourself. It's only from that position that you'll have genuine satisfaction in life. That wraps up this video, guys. If I've given you some insights, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, check out the Patreon for an extended version of this video. As usual, don't forget to comment if you have any video ideas for me. I'll see you guys in the next one.